So Cerise wanted me to talk about the differences between Cabarete and Bavaro, where I lived from 2016 to 2022, and I moved to Cabarete in the beginning of 2022. I have to say I'm a huge fan of Cabarete and not a big fan of Bavaro. The main reasons I don't like Bavaro is the hustle culture there. It's a lot more all about money, all about partying. There's not a lot of depth of character there. It's just if you want to pursue money and that's your main thing, then Bavaro is a great place for that. But if you want community, if you want a spirituality, if you want communing with nature, if you want to be around people who care about the environment, who want to make a difference in the world, Cabarete is about the only place on the island that I know has that kind of community going on. But also Cabarete has a huge water sports community, which Bavaro had some, but nothing like this. Nothing like the kite surfing, the surfing, the many options that are here because of different winds and surf conditions on the north coast. North shores of islands tend to be where the surfers can do their thing. So here is no exception. I've been to the north shore of Hawaii and Maui. I grew up, part of my growing up in Maui, so I'm familiar with the islands elsewhere as well, and the North Shore is always where the wind is. It's always where the surf is. So that brings me to what are the drawbacks of Cabarete compared to Bavaro? The swimming conditions here can be a little more precarious. You want to only swim in protected bays, otherwise the undercurrents can be pretty tough for people who are not experienced swimmers. There have been people who've drowned here, so definitely use caution. Don't consider anywhere where you can enter water as safe to enter the water. The culture of using credit cards is not as developed here, so be prepared to use cash in most places in Cabarete. The infrastructure of electricity is not as stable or reliable as it is in Bavaro. Bavaro's electricity is privatized. Here it is more a government run, and you see the difference in service, but you also see the difference in price. The price for electricity is a lot more economical here, but you have to deal with power outages and whatnot. So a lot of tourists come, they rent in complexes that have backup power, so they don't have to worry about those things. And that's especially important if you work from home, if you're a digital nomad, things like that. You want to be sure that your internet's always up and running, that you're not going to have blackouts in the middle of you doing what you need to do online. So for those who want to live more in the community, more in a Dominican neighborhood like I do, then you will want to invest in an inverter backup system for your own apartment. And that could run about $600 from what I hear. I have yet to do it. It's my intention to do it, but I haven't done it. So that basically switches you to battery power when the lights go off, and it's an automatic system. You'll have probably 2 batteries and an inverter that hooks up to your electrical panel in your apartment. Yeah, that's for the investment in the equipment. That's if you aren't renting in a place that supplies that community-wide. So my electricity prices vary tremendously. I'm still trying to figure out the rhyme or reason. I have been using my electricity a lot this month, and I just got a bill for under 4,000 pesos for the month. Last month, I had used also my AC a lot, and my bill was under 3,000 pesos. But generally, when in the cooler months, when I'm not using AC all the time, my bill can be as low as 500 to 800 pesos. So 500 pesos is about $9. I'm not sure today's exchange rate. It kind of bumps up and down, but when you're out and about figuring prices, it's easier to just calculate 500 pesos as $10 for US dollars. Canadian's going to be different, obviously. But so it's just easier to think about things like a mil pesos, 1,000 pesos being about $20. It's a little less actually, but just for ease of calculation in your head, it's easier to just round up to.
Are you having a special occasion? Perhaps you're coming into town in the Dominican Republic and you have a Tinder date that you're meeting for the first time, an anniversary, birthday, and you really want to show your love. This is a way you can step it up in style. And this room service is available in the comfort of your own home, your Airbnb, even your hotel room. Just give us a shout, and we will make sure that your special day is done with class, style, and romance and love.
So my rent, in Bavaro, I owned apartments, and I rented furnished one-bedroom apartments in a building that had 4 apartments with a pool in the backyard. I rented between $375 and $425, depending on pre and post pandemic situation. Now I rent a large 2-bedroom apartment that came unfurnished because I had my own furnishing. I live in the outskirts of town, 7 minutes away from downtown, in a community called Islaban. It's a Dominican neighborhood, not gated or anything like that, but I feel very safe there. And I'm paying 18,000 pesos, which is around $300 and let's say $40 a month. So while you can find places in Cabarete that exceed prices in Punta Cana, Bavaro area, you can also find things that are very much cheaper. Because I lived in my apartments in Bavaro were in a gated international community, but I wouldn't say well sought after because it wasn't like waterfront or anything, more like a middle class workers neighborhood. And, I was struggling post-pandemic to even get back up to $400 a month for rents. Things have changed considerably since I moved to Cabarete, and probably my same apartments are renting close to $600 now. But to get something like that here, probably be closer to $400. And I was a good 10 to 15 minutes away from the water by car.
Hey guys, real quick break here. Just wanted to remind you that if you're thinking about relocating to the Dominican Republic, I'm available for consultations, and we can talk for 30 minutes or 60 minutes, and we can go through everything: your budget, your concerns, your questions, and also what you like, where you would like to move to, and the things that you like to do. Do you like the riverside? Do you like the beaches? Do you like the hills? Or do you like the city? Give me a shout. My name is Cerise Fairfax, and I want to help you out. I look forward to speaking to you and looking forward for you to change your life. Let's get back to our program.
The other thing is getting around by public transportation here in Cabarete is so much easier. Along the main road that runs between Rio San Juan and Puerto Plata, you can catch a public car or a little van, like let's say a 12-seater van that you can catch. That's any during the week, during the day, you can catch a bus. And we're talking, I don't know exactly how much for the whole route, but the other day I paid 100 pesos to go from Sosua to Islaban in a public car. 100 pesos is less than $2. So considering you would probably pay about $30 for that same taxi ride, it's a deal to go on a public transport. I'm cheap. I like to save money, so I would rarely rent a taxi unless time was an urgency. Like I needed to catch a plane or something, and I didn't want to be messing around with when's the next public transport coming. So I rarely take taxis. My friend Cerise, she's a little more diva-like, and she likes to take taxis. And yeah, and she's much more willing to get on the back of a motorcycle. I'm not as much. I've done it a couple times, but I don't feel safe. They don't ever have extra helmets or anything like that. These people are probably underinsured, if insured at all. So if something happens to you, you're kind of on your own. I'd much rather be in a car, at least a little bit of metal between me and whatever might happen. People drive crazy. The way they drive crazy in the north versus in the east are different kinds of crazy, but they drive crazy in all parts of the island. So even if you're the best driver in the world, you kind of just have to plan that you're going to end up in an accident that's not your fault.
Have you ever had an accident?
I've had 3 accidents in my car that you've been in, and then I have a car that I rented out to a friend, and she got in an accident that wasn't her fault. And so now I'm in a position to make a decision of whether I want to keep paying the monthly payments while the car's getting fixed, and who knows how long that's going to take, insurance repairs and whatnot. Thankfully, the other accidents I've been in, my car was not disabled, so I was able to continue driving it until they got the parts delivered. It would be a whole different scenario if your car was disabled and then you're waiting. My car's a Chinese vehicle, waiting 3 months for the slow boat from China with your parts, being without a vehicle.
What
So
you had to do to get parts before?
wait
And
3 months. Yeah.
Order them on Amazon.
Well, yeah, for my car currently, I have a not very common car. My advice is if you're going to buy a car here, buy something that is common, that you see a lot of people driving, because the access to parts will be easier too. American cars are good because they have a different trade agreement with the United States, so less taxes on American vehicles and American parts. I'm not sure that necessarily translate to cheaper prices for the consumer, but the access to parts will be a lot quicker because anything you can buy in America, you can ship via courier and get here within a week or 2 max. Whereas my car being Chinese, they don't have Chinese cars in America, so anything that I need that isn't already available in the country, and the last 3 or 4 times I've called the dealership for my vehicle, they have not had some basic car parts, like they haven't had a radiator, they haven't had an AC compressor. So I've had to actually retrofit. My mechanic has had to retrofit other cars' parts to use in my car so that I wouldn't be disabled for months waiting for parts from China. So that's something to consider. Now my car is kind of a Franken car with parts from other vehicles, which probably diminishes its resale value when I want to go to sell it. But it means that I got back on the road within a day or 2 versus waiting months for parts. Gas is ridiculously expensive here, close to $6 a gallon, between $5 and $6 a gallon.
How much is it in America?
I'm not sure the current prices, but it usually doesn't. I've never seen it climb over 5, so it goes as low as I mean, back in the day, I was paying 89 cents a gallon, 79 cents a gallon. At the height of supply issues, like $4.75 a gallon. So it is more expensive, probably closer to Canadian prices for gas. But yeah, so I do have a car that consumes a lot of gas. It's kind of a trade-off. I have a SUV. It means it handles the crappy roads here, the holes in the roads, the speed bumps and things like that. And I'm not constantly having to replace parts on the suspension and whatnot. If I had a smaller car, I'd be replacing the parts on the suspension. I'd be paying less for gas, but it'd be in the shop a lot more. So for me, it's a worthwhile trade-off to have a beefier car that gets worse gas mileage because the roads are so bad here, and you could destroy your car hitting a bad pothole here. So to have a car that has some durability is important here. And cars that aren't necessarily known to be reliable in the United States are considered reliable here, like a Jeep. Jeep brand is not reliable in the United States, but probably because of its durability, because they're meant for off-roading. People have better luck with them here. It doesn't mean they're not going to have the same mechanical problems that they have in the U.S., but they're not going to be constantly breaking down like the little cars from Japan and Korea.
When you go back to America, what are some of the things that you feel like, oh my gosh?
So I bring when I brought so much in my suitcase. From the United States. So I brought 32-inch televisions, probably like 4 or 5 of them over the time I've been coming, because I was supplying a 4-apartment building as well. So I brought televisions. I brought anything that's imported that you can fit in a suitcase is going to be a better price in the United States. This time when I'm going back, I always bring toothpaste, because for some reason toothpaste is like $4 a tube here. I can get it at the dollar store there, right? So I actually stock up on a lot of like insignificant small items, because they're triple to quadruple the price here. And so if I can go get 3 sponges at the dollar store for $1 versus come here and pay $2 per sponge, I mean, that's a significant saving. So I stack up on things like sponges and toothpaste and toothbrushes. I will probably be looking into prices for a whole house inverter system, because $600 is a pretty spendy, and if I can get a deal in the United States, then I will. I will be bringing batteries back with me. Like Duracell type of. Like I can go to Harbor Freight and get like a 24 pack of batteries for like $6, whereas you're probably paying $6 to $10 for 4 batteries. So, and the AAAs are going faster than the AA's in my stuff, so I need AAA batteries. What else will I be bringing? I always like I said, I make a trip through the dollar store and I buy anything that I think that I would use right before I come, because like it's a dollar store. I get my sunscreen there.
Airport pickup, short drives, long drives, private drives, or tours around the island. You got it right here at Dispatch Taxi and Rental Car Services. You can go all the way to Santiago and look at the monument. Perhaps you want to go to Puerto Plata and fly high in the sky, or visit the capital, Santo Domingo, do some shopping and some touring. It's up to you what you would like to do. Contact Dispatch Taxi and Rental Services today. You can rent your car or have your private driver.
I like to go back once a year at least, and I usually go back for a couple months or more. So the last time I was there for 8 months, because I was remodeling my basement. Now I have to go back because my basement flooded. Big bummer. And that'll probably take me up to 2 months to deal with. We'll hopefully be back soon, but...
All right.
Thank you. Bye.